Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night Live here in the Holding Block with me, OC Ejiofor. Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a great week. I hope that everybody has had a better week than me. I'm fine, don't worry about me, but I just hope that you've had a better one than me. Tonight's show is another fantastic show. I'm excited about tonight's guest. Tonight's show is all about networking. And when it comes to networking, where do you stand? I want you to think tonight about the way that you position yourself when it comes to building relationships with other people, when it comes to actually building business relationships, when it comes to having somebody who is able to help you and that you're able to help them as well. And there's a mutually beneficial relationship. How do you approach networking? Is it something you feel comfortable with? Is it something that you don't really see the need for? Are you a person who likes to work solo? Are you happy to just work by yourself and you say, I don't really need anybody, but if anybody comes along, I'd be happy to allow them to do things? Or are you one of those people who are kind of like super precious about the tasks that you do? So even if somebody did offer help, you probably still wouldn't give the task to them because you kind of want to make sure that it's done properly, right? So you don't want to really liaise with others, work with others, network with others. Well, we're going to be talking about networking tonight. We're going to be talking about the power of networking with none other than the co-founder of the BYP Network. And if you don't know what the BYP Network is, you are going to find out tonight. The person that we are going to be interviewing is none other than Kike Oniwinde. And some of you may have seen on social media, the company has been raising funds for the business. Some people may have seen these three letters, BYP, but maybe you don't really know what it stands for or what the business is. We're going to get into all of that tonight. We're going to find out a bit more about her. We're going to find out a bit more about the woman behind the business and about the actual aims of that business itself. Kike she has a BSc in economics. Okay, she got that from Nottingham University of Nottingham. Funny fact, I actually could have gone. In fact, I was accepted to go to Nottingham Trent University, not Nottingham University, but Nottingham Trent University. I just decided to take a year out, and that led to me moving down to London, and the rest is history. But she has a BSc honours in economics from the University of Nottingham. She also has a master's that she obtained from the University of Florida. She is also an ex-Great British Javelin thrower. So I'm glad this is online because if I say anything wrong, she can't throw anything at my head. But that's amazing. And of course, she's had work experience at the likes of Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, Citibank, and she's worked as business development in a fast-growing financial tech company. And she is now the co-founder of the BYP Network. And she aims to change the Black narrative in the workplace. Now, that is a noble task. And we're going to find out in detail what exactly that means. And she has grown that platform. I believe it's over 40,000 members. We're going to find out the exact precise amount, but I'm sure it has grown since then. And they have over 60 corporate clients as well. Kike is listed in the Forbes 30 under 30, Maserati Top 100, one of the most powerful founders in the Financial Times, Top 100 BAME leaders in technology. My goodness me. Even before she comes up, we need a round of applause because this is like some serious credentials. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Guys, get your questions ready because we're going to be talking to Kike about the power of building a network. If you haven't heard of the BYP Network, I'm going to share some clips about what they are so that you can understand a bit more before she comes on.
Just finished speaking at the amazing BYP Leadership Conference 2019, and it was absolutely incredible. The buzz, the energy, just walking into a room and seeing so many young, hungry Black faces got me really, really inspired.
It's been a great day. We've met some amazing personalities from all different types of industries, different types of backgrounds. Quite a few have come over here to our table to inquire about EY and opportunities. Diversity and inclusion at Grant Thornton, we're doing really well in some areas. We've focused a lot on gender over the last 2 years, and now we really want to focus on other areas such as ethnicity. I think we're doing okay, but there's so much more we could be doing.
So yeah, overall, really great experience today. Loved meeting loads of different people, and
I think we've been really challenged as well as an organisation to start thinking more about
our strategy, what we do with our BYP network as we move forward. So yeah, it's been really interesting.
The conference was incredible. The crowd was like loving our energy. But what I was most impressed about was just the fact that everything was so meticulously organised, and like everyone knew where they were going to be. And yeah, this is a great event, and I'm really, really excited. And I'm praying that I'm going to be there next year as well.
And I'm having a great time. Really particularly love the vibe that's going on here. A lot of younger people than me here, really networking, getting to meet really wonderful organizations.
I find a lot of the people here are very competent, their talks are confident, and also they've inspired the next generation of Black young professionals. I think next year, I'm definitely coming. I want to see more tech, I want to see more law, and I would love to see more marketing and sport.
Good evening, Kike. How are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks.
How are you?
I'm good. That was a very strong introduction.
That's your life. That is your life. I'm only telling the truth about what you've experienced. Do you know what? I need to just applaud you again, because those credentials, my goodness, my.
Thank you.
But no, it really is. In all seriousness, you know, it may seem humorous, etc., but I do respect the things that you've gone through to get where you are today. It's inspiring. It's inspiring to see, genuinely inspiring. So well done. Well done.
Thank you.
So how are you tonight? How do you feel? How are you feeling?
I feel good. It's been a long month, maybe a long pandemic in general. I get to go on annual leave next week, which sounds crazy, but like I've blocked it out in my diary as annual leave. Do not contact me. So I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm at a point where I need a break. But yeah, it's been an incredible period. I mean, obviously we've had ups and downs from COVID. You know, Black Lives Matter, but then there's also been opportunities at the same time. And we've really used it to work with our community and kind of mobilize that support for our crowdfund. So I'm kind of proud of everything that we've done and how we reacted to the pandemic. But there's so much more to come from us.
Fantastic. Now, before we get into the BYP network, I want to talk about the money first, because that fundraising campaign, it was successful, wasn't it? You had a target. I mean, it was like, to me, it seemed like just all of a sudden, okay, there's a campaign, and then she's on the news, and she's over here, the newspaper's been interviewed here. And was this pre-planned? Is this something you planned before the pandemic, or was this spur of the moment? Or
it's a really good question. It's always been in my mind that I want to do a crowdfund, because I'm like, I want the community to buy in, and I want the community funds, because it is their company and it's to inspire and empower the community. So before the pandemic, we were like, okay, we'll probably do it in August, you know, a little kind of conversation about that. But then we brushed it aside, especially during the pandemic, because just assumed like no one really has money to spend, right? But then I think given Black Lives Matter, given the fact that it was Blackout Day and Black Pound Day, everything just felt aligned. And so we gave ourselves literally like 2 weeks. It was insane. I think normally they have about 2 months of prep for crowdfunding, but we only gave ourselves 2 weeks, had to get everything ready on time. And yeah, we just somehow pulled it off. But it's still going, so people can still invest, as we're trying to overfund to £1 million.
Wow, that's amazing. Because originally, was it 500,000 you were in?
Yeah, so I think
you hit that target after how long?
5 days.
5 days.
Yeah.
Look at that. My goodness me. We need to talk. When we finish the interview, we need to talk, because I need you to help me raise some this year. But that's amazing.
Interestingly, on that, like part of us working with Seeders is that we have a partnership with them where we intend to help other businesses launch on the platform as well, and also raise funding. Right. So, you know, watch this space. Once all this is blown over, and, you know, we'll put out more details, but we want to help other Black founders get funding.
Fantastic. That's great. That's amazing. Well, okay, so we've kind of jumped the gun a bit. I want you to tell everybody, because there's some people watching that may not know what the BYP network is, and I purposefully didn't want to describe it too much because I want you to get the real self. So let's do an elevator pitch style. Can we do that? Should we do an elevator pitch style, and then you can kind of relax afterwards. So let's give you. Should we give you 60 seconds?
Oh wow! Yeah? Is it going to be a timer anywhere?
You got 60. I don't know. I've got some tense music. The last 60 seconds. So okay, are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
BYP Network is a platform that connects Black professionals with each other and corporations. We work with the likes of Facebook, Netflix, PwC, etc., to connect them with over 40,000 members. We look to grow to over 500,000 in 18 months' time. And yeah, we're here to change the Black narrative. Essentially, there's not enough Black role models. We're here to find them, to elevate them, and to also help other Black professionals kind of meet people. I could have done better, but
amazing. Amazing. That was totally impromptu, guys. If you're watching or listening to a podcast, I did not prepare Kike for that at all. I put her under pressure because I know she hasn't got the ability to throw the javelin through the camera at me. So
that's what you think. That's what you think.
I'm scared now.
And there's a will, there's a way.
But no, that was excellent. So, I love the fact that, and this is the thing, when people own their business idea, not just run the business methodically, but when you own the idea, you're always ready to do that. And I think that I wouldn't have asked if I didn't feel that you were capable of doing it, because I sense a lot of passion. I've heard some of your interviews and seen some of the articles you've written, but you're very passionate about what you do. So tell us how it all started. How did the BYP network start?
Yeah, sure. So essentially I came back from studying in America, and kind of my background, I grew up in East London, kind of single parent household. And when I was 16, my brother went to prison. So I went through a whole bunch of trauma that kind of was internalized, right? It was like, well, what do I do here? I was doing very well. So I was a, athlete. I was an A-star student, but it felt like those around me weren't necessarily doing as well or getting opportunities. So I would get, the scholarships, the internships, etc. But when I came back from Florida, for example, after about 1.5 years, 2 years, a lot of my peers still didn't even have graduate jobs. And then obviously in that period, Black Lives Matter was happening. A lot of companies were saying they can't find the talent doesn't exist. There was knife crime. Like, there was just so much going on, and I felt very overwhelmed by it all. I remember I was always like tweeting and retweeting and quote tweeting and like saying this needs to change. When will this stop? Just at this period, right? A lot of people has just gone through that, and
this is what, 2016, around that time, though.
Yeah, it's 2016. So it was like summer, autumn 2016, and I just felt very helpless, essentially. And I just kind of felt like, what is the solution here? And I felt like, you know what? I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. Maybe if we all connect around the globe and we all solve our own problems as a race, maybe then we'll solve all our problems. And it was very big, ambitious, and bold. And obviously, a lot of people think, how do you even get started? And for me, it was like, well, let me just start where I am right now in my room, and let me get my laptop out and just create a business out of this. And it needs to be a business because even the economic side of the Black community needs development and needs help. Like, not everything should be a charity just because you're helping Black people. And that was something I felt very strongly about. And also the reason I went straight for Black and not BAME is because Black has its own issues, not just BAME. We might be a minority in the UK, but we're not a minority necessarily in the world. So I was very quite specific with it, like knowing it was.
Sorry to interrupt. I like to let people flow, but I am totally with you on that 100%. I think that it's so strange how there are so many different campaigns that are uniquely dealing with a specific niche. It doesn't matter what it is, it's always that niche. And what I find is when it comes to issues around Black people, all of a sudden we have to include everybody in that. It can't just be Black people. It has to be Black people as well as this, as well as that and the other. So I really like that. Have you found... In fact, you carry on. I'll ask a question in a minute, but carry on.
I don't even remember where I am.
So you had...
Sorry, it's late. That's why my brain.
That's fine. That's fine. So you had mentioned that you had started the. You wanted to start from home. You figured you might as well structure it as a business. Yeah.
I remember now. Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry.
That's all right.
So essentially what it was is I just put out an event. Well, before I did some research, right, I did like a questionnaire and I asked people if this is something that they wanted. Like, do you want to meet other Black professionals? Do you want to kind of solve problems in the community? Do you want to figure out like how to kind of climb the ladder? Because it was twofold. I think why I went straight for professionals versus like students and secondary school kids is I felt like we professionals can also help those students. So it's like, actually, there's more of us that can solve all our problems. If I went straight for the younger generation, they can't, solve the whole pipeline, right? They're still young. Yeah, I just started where I was, and I think our first event like sold out in like 3 days or something.
Wow.
And that was when I was like, okay, I think I'm onto something. And then it was consistency. It was consistency that kind of grew BYP Network and the belief in what it can be. Yeah, we just kind of grew from there.
Wow, that's amazing. So what was the concept like in its initial phase in comparison to what BYP has become now? Did you have it all clear from the start, or has it changed, evolved, and if so, how?
You know what? It's still very, very similar to the start, and the mission is still very much the same as well. Like changing the Black narrative, like none of that has changed. I think the only difference is before there was a lot more social element as well. So it was like networking, socializing. There was even a bit of dating in there. I was trying to solve all the problems for the community.
Right. One stop shop.
Yeah, but then that didn't really align, right? Because it was like, actually, what if someone's on there for networking and someone else is for social? It doesn't really work. And also, really found that the networking element was the most important, because we need to get jobs, right? Or we need to start our own businesses. We need to get referred into companies. We need to figure out how much am I getting paid versus this person. There was a lot more that needed to be done on the professional side of things. And so it just evolved to focusing more on professional and connecting with corporations. I think that was the mission, whereas before it was like just connecting with like-minded individuals.
That is amazing. And we've got some comments coming through. We've got Ronaldo Lawrence says she's amazing, and he's American. See, I say like that. She's amazing. He's got Ronaldo's voice is so soothing, and so, anyway, I need to get him back on. Seriously, like he's got a brilliant voice. But yeah, he would say it much better than me. But yeah, said that Maribel's thrown up some flames there. Love it. Okay, so you've spoken, and what I want to do is I want to kind of decipher the code. We have these kind of buzz phrases and we use them. We know what they mean, but they're not often explained. So when you say a term like the Black narrative, what does that mean and why is it so important?
Yeah, great question. For me, the Black narrative was something that the media has made very negative, essentially. Like you turn on the TV, we're dying the most from COVID. Then there's knife crime, then there's gun crime, then they're saying, it was all very negative news. They'll take out and show us a race report and say we're the ones failing the most in school, we're not getting jobs, there's biases. Like everything was always negative. And I felt like, we're not being given role models or visibility of people that are doing very well. Like I always, what I always say is that when I went to America, I met, loads of amazing, Black students and professionals. Obviously other races as well, but I think I was just so blown away by meeting people that, again, I would never have met them if I didn't get my scholarship. And I was like, well, I should still know they exist even if I didn't get a scholarship, right? And obviously back home I had great friends and, people that I knew. And I was like, what else is other people doing? Who is out there? Like, I just felt like it's very difficult to find other people that were just professionals, like as in working everyday job. It's an everyday job, whether it's in the music world, whatever it is, but all we get to see is like musicians and athletes. And again, nothing wrong with that. I was an athlete, but it's actually the chances of success in those fields are so much more slimmer than just being an everyday professional where you're making a good salary. Like you can buy yourself a house and have a nice kind of life and still travel, but that's never shown to us. And changing the narrative was just to kind of role model visibility essentially, and change the media's perception of the Black community. And I mean, even in this period of Black Lives Matter, there's been a shift, right? Like we've seen companies put money down where their mouth is, and we've seen people kind of really take an interest of, okay, the Black community have not been treated right. Even though we've been saying it for a long time, it's like an awakening is happening. And to me, that's part of changing the narrative, changing perceptions and mindsets, and us as well as a community, having the next generation be able to see us, like actually have that visibility that, oh, I can be like OC, I can be like John working in finance, or John who's in music industry, but actually he's an agent or he's a producer or he's behind the scenes. So it was more about just showing visibility about how amazing the community really is and getting rid of this whole everyday front page knife crime, And maybe that can go down when those young boys also see what else is going out there in the world and that they can be a lot more, or there's people that grew up in their neighborhood that are doing big things, but there's not enough visibility on all of that.
I think that's so very powerful, and it's a very good explanation as well, because I think there are so many aspects to the Black narrative that aren't even really spoken about. They're just experienced and they're lived day to day, and things come through observation. When you know how it is when you want to buy a car, you want to buy a red car, all of a sudden you're seeing loads of red cars everywhere. Or if somebody becomes pregnant, they see all of these pregnant people around. People often don't see things because they haven't personally experienced it themselves, and therefore sometimes, I mean, from my experience, it's like the problem that doesn't exist, right? So it's kind of all in your mind. It's not a real issue that exists. It's just, there's a lot of things, Black people are lazy, they just love drugs and they love to shoot each other, kill each other. All of these things are kind of said very freely and easily. But it's not necessarily true. If you only see certain things, if you're only exposed to certain things, that is literally what you would think. Because actually, if you don't have interaction personally with anybody of a specific race, specific background, whatever it is, whatever the determining factor is, if you don't have personal contact, then you're not going to have a good perception apart from what you're shown. And I do find it sad that actually, there's certain newspaper articles where I've seen, and I've read it, there was about a stabbing that has happened. And I looked at the images that were on the page, and the largest image on the page was of a Black man who was a criminal, but the footer underneath what he said wasn't linked with a knife crime. So the headline was knife crime, and the largest picture was a Black face, but the person who perpetrated the knife crime was not that person. And things like this, again, I noticed.
But this is what the media does on purpose, right? So part of changing, obviously we can do what we can do by mobilizing and changing it, but our work with these corporations is also to change the biases that they have internally, right? We actually work with a lot of these news companies such as BBC, Sky, etc. And even though we're in the kind of recruitment kind of side of things, we're working our way to that media side because it's so important, and media has a big part to play in the narrative, and they need to change that. And I think we saw it even in the Black Lives Matter, kind of how sometimes it was portrayed as, the protests were thuggery or whatever it was, and then when the EDL came, it was like clashes with, it was all over the place, and it was like, that's not quite what's going on, and this is clear biases that you guys are putting on. There's loads of examples. So I think for us, it's again us coming together as a community to demand better from these organizations.
It's so interesting. I think about these things all the time, and in this whole, because I think there's an intellectual debate to be had in regards to what gets shown and what gets publicized. I think on a general level, people kind of have the us versus them rhetoric, and it's not precisely real. You have a certain level of experience from people who have certain jobs who will report things from their perspective because that's how they see it. It's not a them thing, it's actually an individual thing. But what balances it out is having more people with other perspectives in those types of roles that are able to counter these crazy ideas. How does it get from an idea to print on the front page? Unless there is a voice that is saying, actually, that's not quite accurate. That's not the whole truth. That's not the whole story, etc. So yeah. That's another interesting side of it. But you mentioned the recruitment, and I'm interested to know, it's a powerful aim to influence these big corporations in their recruitment policies, in how they're employing people. And, at the same time, nobody wants favors, right? Nobody wants tokenism. Nobody wants handouts. You want things to be done on merit. You want it to be that people are looked at because they deserve to be looked at. There are 24 letters in my first name. That's why I'm OC. You know, people know me as OC. There are 24 letters in my first name. There are CVs that I handed in.
You can't just say that and not say what the whole.
Yeah, I'm not going to say my name.
No, they're demanding in the comments to know.
Do you know what? If there are comments that come through the request, the saying of my full name, then I will say it. But until then, I'm not going to say anything. So 24 letters of my first name. And I know the experience of sending in my CV. Well, I was living with students, you know, we were all sending off our CVs. And I had the most experience out of the guys just because of age. I was older than them. I'd worked in a lot of different places. I was not getting called to interviews at a period, full stop. But the other guys in the house were. We all are the same ethnic background. But one of them, you know, they had European sounding names.
Yeah.
Someone's requested my full name. Ronaldo.
Yes, Ronaldo.
Come on now. This guy, leave me alone. So yeah, I think this whole recruitment side is very, do you know, go on then. Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and I'm only gonna say it if Kike will say it after me. So if I say it, I want her to repeat it. This is a little challenge here.
Oh
okay.
no, I feel like people.
So, I'm gonna say it slowly. So my first name, just my first name, is Osinaka Chukwu.
Osinaka Chukwu.
Well done. Well done. You did well.
Thank you.
So getting back to the point, people listening to this podcast must be thinking, what is this guy doing? My apologies. I might cut this part out. But either way, I think that whole, you know, in all seriousness, in terms of the recruitment, how do you go about tackling that in the first place, addressing certain biases that exist when it comes to the selection process, when it comes to, you know, which CV you look at in comparison to another? And have you come up against any major sticking points within certain companies?
Yeah, really, really good question. I think the best way to describe how we work with corporate partners is 3 ways. It's recruitment, reputation, and retention. So how we see BYP Network is like, we're trying to be the #1 platform for all things Black professionals. So we want to get millions of Black professionals on our platform and basically market opportunities towards them. And so those opportunities can be, you know, jobs from companies. It could be mentorship programs. It could be like sign up here and receive grants. Like anything that's going to make the Black professionals' life better is what we are marketing towards them. So why that's important is that we're going for scale, and then we're going for collaboration as well. So we work with other companies that might do the actual, we come into the organization and do the whole inclusion work. We do the webinars, we do the whole recruitment process. And the reason we do that is there's so many companies out there that do these things, right? There's so many individuals or Black professionals that can give back or can mentor, can give their experiences. And BYP Network is here to be a collaborative tool, right? It's supposed to be where anyone who wants to do something or give back or even just find the Black community can go to. So the way we work with corporates, for example, is if we sign a corporate partner, there's 3 main things that they get. They get the ability to post on our job board. And why this is important is that there's a stat that says 80% of Black professionals have to apply for 80% more job roles than their white counterparts. And it goes back to what you said about your CV. There are biases, right? They see your name, they throw it away, and there's loads of studies on this. So you have to keep applying just to kind of get that positive response that you want. But by using our job board, it's like these companies are saying, actually, we are looking for Black talent. We want you to apply. And it's good about the tokenism part that you mentioned, because there is no tokenism to this. You still have to go through the recruitment process. You still have to pass it and all that stuff. They still want the best talent or the right talent for the roles. Not saying that you're not, right? Because we believe there's talent in the community, and there is. And how the community get that support is, for example, the amount of webinars that we do or skills workshops. We're actually launching a weekly kind of skills specific workshop with 4 experts. So every week there'll be an expert talking about finance, careers, leadership, and one more thing that I can't remember. So we give that kind of high level help, and you can connect with other people to kind of really give you that development. But then also companies want the content side of things. They want to be seen as an employer of choice, or want you to know why you should work for them. So for example, one company might have like incredible inclusive policies and, you know, do things like ally programs and sponsorships and, you know, outreach in schools, but you don't know that. So you don't know about their culture. So we really market that and showcase that to the community so that we can kind of understand, okay, why should I apply? Okay, it's good. It's kind of, I don't say the word safe, but it's good to apply to this organization. And the retention side of things is that we tend to work their Black internal networks as well. So they're connected to BYP Network or their members. So for example, we did an event called BAME Network Leaders, How Do We Mobilize Change? And essentially, because a lot of organizations have Black or BAME or multicultural networks, those are the three main names. So we wanted to bring them together and share ideas on how do we all work together to make that change. So those are things that we do, very much kind of like anything that we see, like one of our partners, if we see negative news about them, we'll send it to them and say, look, this doesn't reflect well for the community. These are things that you can do to change. So there's actually a lot of consultancy that we don't actually charge for, but we do that because we're very concerned. We get concerned, right? Like we care about the members, and if this is there, it's negatively impacting them, and it's negatively impacting us as well because we're working with them. That's kind of it. And in terms of changing recruitment policies, funny enough, we do, in the sense of like we get them to think about like, is that the best recruitment policy? Do you not think there's biases in that? A lot of them are quite, you know, elitist. Like, why must you only go to Oxbridge or to Russell Group to recruit? You know, what about someone who didn't go to that university, but they've built up all this wealth of experience or skill sets? So we do talk a lot about that. And the reason why BYP was kind of all Black professionals is that I came across quite a lot of companies that only worked with the best Black people. And it was like, well, no, we need to help everyone. And that's kind of what BYP Network is here to do.
Wow. I'm going to have to give her an applause for that. That's quite a lot. And the reason why I'm applauding is because, unfortunately, there are a lot of people with great intentions when it comes to these issues. And there's a lot of great work being done. I'm not knocking anybody's efforts, but some organizations don't get to make that actual impact. So, for example, there are some people out there that are trying to work with companies and trying to change the narrative, the Black narrative, or what have you. But policies, written policies, don't actually get changed. They don't actually get challenged. It just had, you know, it's just fun for the event. So they show up for the event and everybody sees that they're there. So it's kind of a public endorsement that, yes, we agree and we try to recruit within the sector. But from there, you know, as soon as they go back, as soon as the event is over,
I think
policies are still the same.
We really wanted to spend time thinking about accountability. You know, I think we've become a lot more bolder in what we say. You know, if we think something's not good, we actually tell the partners. We, you know, we're as far as I've said this before, we see it as you're working with us more so than we're working with them, because we've got the expertise and the knowledge that they need to better recruit Black professionals and also market to Black professionals. Like, why should I work for you? And it's impactful. And I think, you know, I've seen it myself, and I'm just like, I just don't agree with some of these recruitment policies. Or, you know, as a community as well, that's why it's twofold. We want to, you know, tell you guys how to get the role, what you need to do, network with each other. We've given you a platform to network with other people, and kind of, you know, we ourselves have seen non-talented people in the community, right? Not to call them that, but people who need development, right? Can't shy away from that. And a lot of webinars I've been on, they always bring that up, like, what if the quality of the community just isn't good? And so fair enough, that is a fair statement, but then that's why it takes us as a professional to give back and to do what we can to help others, or to give them the resources. And even if BYP can't, again, there's so many companies out there that can, that specialize in this, in career development, leadership, skills, training, confidence. We'll make sure we can plug them to that. So there's a lot of work, and I mean, we know it's a huge task, but and that's what excites us, because when do we stop? Like, there's so much work to be done.
Yeah, achievable goals aren't goals at all, are they? I mean, you have to have something that seems unattainable, so you're always striving towards it. So I definitely appreciate that. Just going to the comment section here, we've got a round of applause there from Maribel. And then Ronaldo's asking, how do I get involved? And we're going to come to that in a moment. In fact, do you want to shout out the website to people so that people know where to go?
I'm going to shout out the Cedars website. You can invest in BYP Network. So it's www.seedrs.com/BYP Network. And our actual website is on that link. So, but you can go straight to that crowdfund.
Okay, fantastic. So that, so seedrs.com/BYP
Network.
Fantastic. BYP Network, fantastic, brilliant. So somebody is asking, they meant to ask what her corporation is. Is it a recruitment agency? So yeah, I think you've answered that.
It's a community. It's a community first organization and platform. So we mobilize the community and then allow corporations to tap into the talent pool. So we won't call ourselves a recruitment agency. We're more like a community. And then it's like, okay, if you want to hire or work with the community, then we can provide that access.
That's excellent. And then just some nice comments here. Kike is incredible, amazing work, and a great oracle for our community. Keep up the incredible work. That's nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've spoken to us. Well, I mentioned the fact that you're an athlete. I mentioned the fact that you could probably, and you've said that you could probably throw a javelin through the screen and still hit me from that distance where you are. So I want to know, the experience. We all have different experiences that we find valuable in the roles that we're doing. Naturally, being a British athlete and a javelin thrower and being a businesswoman and having this corporation, they may seem poles apart to many people. They're totally different industries. But what skills have you found most useful from being an athlete, being a javelin thrower, when it comes to your business and how you conduct yourself now? Has there anything that's come in handy, any transferable skills there?
No, it's such a good question, but I think everything got transferred. Like everything. And when I say everything, I just mean in terms of, so for example, as an athlete, you have ups and downs all the time. Like you have terrible competitions, you have good competitions. You have a great training session, you have a bad training session. You break your back, you have to overcome it and be resilient and persistent. You have naysayers. I mean, as athletes, we always have naysayers. So it's like everything as an athlete got transferred to that as an entrepreneur. The dedication, the focus, the belief. As an athlete, you have to have utmost belief and faith in your abilities. So like, for example, I believed I'll be a world record holder, right? Like I was like, not even Olympic champion. I want to just break the record.
Yes, that's right.
Even though that hasn't happened, right? But I believed it. And I think it's the same in business. Like, I'm like, I will change the Black narrative. And again, even if I don't, I'll achieve a hell of a lot to get to that point, right? And then maybe something else will happen. So I think actually it was just such a great, grounding for me. And I never could have expected that I'd move into this. Like, that was not my ambition. My ambition was my sport. So again, you just don't know. And I think the doors that it opened as well, like I said, because of my sport, I got into Florida on a track and field scholarship and did my master's out there, and then, enjoyed my master's and the modules and the people that I met. So I got something completely different from what was expected. So literally everything. And I think also failure, honestly, as an athlete, you fail a lot, right? And sometimes you have huge failures, but you have to overcome it. And I think in entrepreneurship, it's the same. Like, you're literally putting out fires all the time, but you know that things will be okay. And I think that's something that I very much embody. Like, I'm not surprised about anything we achieve as a company, because I'm like, yeah, I expect to achieve that. But there's so much more. Like this isn't, we haven't even started. And that's something I always say, like, this is day one, because it really is. And when the ambition is so big, if you're aiming for the stars, you might just land on the, on the sky, right? And that's kind of what we embody. And that's, again, from my days of being an athlete, I've been able to have that kind of confidence and ambition.
Brilliant. That's really good. There are so many transferable things when it comes to just sports. I think actually sports people, there are certain skills. I find there are a lot of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, who either they're a sports person or they're in the military. And it's that similar type of discipline and drive, self-determination, knowing you're going to receive knocks and getting up anyway. All the things that you mentioned, it's very interesting that you say that, because I think it's very powerful. It's very true as well. Let's just check that these details are correct. I have the scrolling banner going down. That's your social handle.
Cedars is wrong. There's no E after the D.
Ah, wonderful. Let's get that changed. Let's hide that and get that back up. Look at that. Can you imagine? This is what happens when you're typing and listening to somebody talk to you at the same time. It's wonderful.
Wow, amazing.
It's wonderful. Right. Okay. So, in fact, so like this.
Yes, correct.
Wonderful. Spelled incorrectly, but correctly. Wonderful. Okay, so my next question is kind of why BYP? Why BYP? So if somebody is out there and they are hearing everything that you're saying, there are other networking platforms, other little, social media groups, etc. Why BYP?
It's such a good question. Like, I don't know what it has been about BYP Network that has allowed it to grow so much and allowed so much great feedback and testimonials. I think I tweeted about this the other day. I really think it's the flattened culture, as in we leave our titles at the door. Like you gave that introduction about me, but I'm actually just an everyday person. Like I don't even care about any of that stuff. It's just something that happens naturally because of what we're achieving as a business. And like we have like MDs around, we have like, partners, like no matter who they are, they leave their titles at the door and they're just humans and they're telling you how it is. The video said it, like the vibe in the air, the atmosphere. And we've even been able to recreate that in the webinars. Like the webinars feel powerful. You feel it. You feel the truth about it. And we're just honest and authentic. And I think because the desire of BYP Network is true. It's a passion thing that I've started. Like there's been no other reason for starting BYP other than to change the Black narrative. So I'm a big believer in good karma. I believe in vibe and like you put out and you get back, you get it back. And things have just aligned so well because of the truth behind it. And it sounds very weird as like why BYP, but it's because it's true, it's authentic. There's no other hidden agenda from us. It's like, we're here to show the world that there's Black talent. Black people are amazing and we know we're amazing. Black people can grow big businesses and scale big businesses. We don't have to be a charity. We can bring role models. We can have mentors. We can, change all these things that are happening on a big scale. So like all of that is real. And I think it's really put into the business. And I think our members feel it. And even if it's, they go to one webinar or they get a mentor for the platform or they post something and they get people coming to their events, like you can obviously like download the app or you can actually sign up online or just the articles we put out. And I mean, COVID is a great example, right? Like we tripled down is the best way to describe it. I mean, I think in May or was it April, we even did a NHS crowdfund or not crowdfund, but GoFundMe essentially, where we raised £25,000 for Black key workers. And again, that was because of the feeling of like helplessness. Like, what can we do? We're here. Black people are dying the most, they say. Like, we need to stop our Black parents from going to work if they don't have to. So like everything we do is like for the community, and we're very reactive and dynamic with that. Because we do question, we're like, why BYP? Like, why are we growing? Why, others have tried to start something similar or try and kind of be like, I can do that too. And you can. I don't think there's anything very extraordinary about the business itself. Like anyone can start it. But in terms of truth, like why they really started it, what the vision, like how big is our ambition and vision towards this? I think that's what sets us apart. And as I said, we're just getting started, but we've had people from our very first event in 2016 till now that are still part of the community. As in 2 people that currently work within BYP Network were at our first ever event, like, so things like that. And then I speak to them like, why do you want to be, why are you working at BYP? They're like, this has to work. Like, my children have to have BYP Network. Like what obviously this is a solution. So you kind of have those people that just get it and that believe in it. And and even if like things, let's say, aren't going well, it's like, well, that's okay, but you have to make sure it goes well. And I love that about the community. They're so helpful. And I mean, for our crowdfund to have over 1,000 investors, I mean, that says a lot. Like there's 1,000 people saying like, yeah, we back you, even if it's just £10. So I think that's why, I have, one thing about me is that I'm very chill. That's the best way to describe it. I'm not afraid. I don't doubt anything. I'm a firm believer that this is supposed to be here. And I always say it's not even my company. Like this is the God's company, the universe company, and what will be will be. And And I think that's why good things happen, because it sounds weird, I work very hard, but I'm not trying too hard.
Okay.
And so, I went off in one, but I think I'm just thinking, like, I don't know what makes BYP special, but we've had a lot of favor, and I always say the sky just opens up and random stuff fall into our lap all the time. As in, if you spend a week with us, you'll see it, you're like, strange, and it's amazing. It's amazing. It's just supposed to be here. And the potential is huge, and we will fulfill our potential. I don't doubt that.
You quoted one of my I have a motivational passage that I used to teach my students, and you literally quoted part of it. I'm going to say it right now, because this is every class I had, because I was a teacher. I used to tell students this to help them motivate. You quoted part of it just now. It goes like this. You insert your name where I say my name, but it goes as I say, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. So, good evening. My name is Osi Ejiofor. I have the potential to succeed. I have the drive to achieve, and I will fulfill my potential. My vision will drive me with indomitable force on a fixed trajectory to overcome all odds.
You need to send us that. I need to post that on a platform on social media. But that is the truth, and I believe that. So if you have that and you believe that, then there's nothing to fear. I don't fear anything. Like, I know that good things are going to keep happening for us. I don't doubt that.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think one thing that you kind of missed out is, and this really is the key when it comes to leadership. A good leader is reflected in the people that follow. So you can't just get a vision. And like you said, many people, they tried the same thing. It's funny, people are very strange, they'll say, you can't do it, but then they go and try and do it themselves. you can't do it. There's no way. I know someone who died. They died trying to do what you're trying to, They have all these horror stories, but then they go and try and do it themselves. But the reality is not every one of them succeeds. And the reason why certain succeed and others don't is because actually it's the people that are driving it. The vision of BYP doesn't just kind of get communicated through osmosis. It has to be communicated from the people who had the vision. You have a vision. And I think maybe, you're a humble lady, you come across as very humble, but it's you actually that is driving this. It's you that has this vision. And when people receive that communication from you, they're following you. Because if that communication was not good, if it was insufficient, if it was half-baked, if it was not felt, you wouldn't have people following you. That would just be the bottom line. But I think, the impact you're having, even in this interview now, it's clear. 1, you're passionate. 2, you're humble. 3, you are going to do this regardless of what anybody says anyway. So you will get out of your way, whichever way. So but that's what comes across. And I love that. And I think that is the true spirit of someone who is going to achieve something. We can't have time to waste to listen and be pretty about people's opinions and just dilly-dally and what your own vision is. You have to know it, and you have to strive towards it. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm going to go to a couple of questions. We got Ronaldo's here. Girl, got me excited. I didn't do it right that time, but yeah, he's saying his accent. So we have a question here from Wayne. He's asking, what inspired you to keep going when you face challenges? This is one that a lot of people are intrigued to know, because I'll let you answer that anyway. But what inspired you when you kept to keep going even when you face challenges?
I feel like it's everything that I've said in terms of just, I have a vision, I have the passion for it, and I just believe in it. So it's like, actually, one of the funny things about me is that, like, I have this thing, actually, if I'm going through challenges or like a downtime, I'm kind of happy and excited, because I'm like, I know something great will come out of this. It sounds insane, but honestly, I get quite excited. I mean, because I'm like, oh my God, things are terrible. Oh no, well, what's going to happen? And that's just from my own routine, right? Like, again, as an athlete, from just my journey so far, I know it might not seem like a long journey, but anything that's ever happened, something positive. And I mean, something that I couldn't even have imagined has happened.
Mm.
One, obviously I haven't said it here, but one example is at university in Nottingham. I broke my back in my second year of university. Some people know the story. It was an awful year. Like, as in, that year was just shocking. But then somehow I got this kind of grit and resilience to just like, you know what, I'm going to heal my back. I'm going to study all night. I'm going to train on my own. Like, it was just a craziness that I did. And then I qualified for the Commonwealth Games standard. I didn't go, but I qualified. I got my internship at City that summer. I got the scholarship out of nowhere for University of Florida. You know, there was so many things that just happened. And I got my grade as well, because I was literally like on, like I was borderline. I could have got a 2.2 essentially. It was just like everything just fell into place. It was like I went through the worst time, but then I could not have predicted these kind of results.
Right.
So for me, it's like challenges again. They don't scare me. I avoid challenges because I know that you have to go through this to get that kind of, you know, diamond or the goal that you're looking for. Imagine if everything was always smooth, then, you know, then what can you, it's a bit boring as well. And it's just like, you know, and then if something does go bad, you probably won't react well because everything's been going so well. So I always say, like, it's, you know, my journey is this, and it's always been this, and it will always be this. And it's okay, because I now know my pattern, and I now know that, you know, that's just normal as part of life. So
amazing. I always see it kind of like an archer, like you're the arrow. And if you ever want to go far, you're gonna have to be pulled back. You know, and the more you're pulled back determines how far you're going to go in the next instance. I think the main thing is a trajectory, and that's your vision. If you've got your vision aligned in the right trajectory, you know, you will take all the pullbacks you want, and like you said, you can actually celebrate it. You know, you're the second person I know that actually celebrates when things go bad. The other guy, I'm still not fully there. I kind of catch myself in those times, and I do expect, but I can't say that I'm celebrating it. No, I'm not quite. But no, that's a great answer. I love that, because, you know, and you said you broke your back. Again, this is one of those kind of general terms people use. Now, I know a bit of science. So which part of your back? Was it the lumbar? Was it the thoracic? Was it your spine? Was it?
It was, oh God, it was a disc. It was like, can't even, it's like I fractured it, like it cut essentially. And there was a few things, I can't even remember it too, because this was back in 2013. But essentially I couldn't move properly. I couldn't walk properly. I was always in pain. I couldn't go to my lectures. I couldn't sit up. I was always lying down. I couldn't do my sport. For a good 6 months, I was literally just basically bedbound. Oh my God, the story, I won't even go into it. It was just awful. It was such an awful year. But I don't know what made me, I just felt, I think I remember thinking, this isn't my story. Like, I just felt like this doesn't make any sense. This isn't, because everything kind of crumbled at once, right? Like my sporting career and my grades were just in the bin at that moment. And I think at the time my identity was very much on that. Like, okay, I do sports. I'm also very academic, you know, which way will I go? And then to have both crumble at the same time, it was just like, well, I have no, like, there's no way, like, where am I going now? So I feel like I just kind of, I just dug deep, and I was like, I can't let that happen. So the third year, I just went into some kind of beast mode and just like became it all. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. We've got a comment here from YouTube. I'm inspired by your testimony. Greater things to come.
Thank you.
Indeed. Now, I want to talk to you a bit about networking before we take some more questions from the people watching. When it comes to networking, as I said from the start of the show, at the top of the show, people have a different mindsets when it comes to whether they're going to do it or not in the first place, and whether it's going to be valuable to them, whether it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. And then some people want to, but they find it difficult to build those relationships. So what I wanted to ask is, I know the power of networking. You know the power of networking. What has been the most valuable network that you have made, the most valuable connection that you've made, and why was it valuable? What did it lead to?
A great question. Before I answer that, going back to your first, like when you first started it, some people do have that mindset of, oh, I don't need help, I don't need handouts, oh, I can do this on my own, or they don't want to say thank you if someone does help them, or they just want to feel like, I don't want to owe anybody. That's the mindset. And I know a lot of people with that mindset. It's a very tragic mindset, and it's very destructive for themselves. And I just wanted to put that out there. So if anyone's listening and they have that mindset, it's not good. It's not a growth mindset, and it's not the right way to think, because it also means you're not very collaborative, and it also means that you're not really trying to help other people. I know people that get successful, they don't want to help anyone else because they said nobody helped me, or they said, oh, I did it on my own, so they can do it on theirs. And it's very destructive, especially for our community. And I need as much help as possible. So sorry, I just had to put out that disclaimer.
Yeah, that's good. I'll extend the show for you to carry on, because the fact it's very damaging. It is very damaging,
not
and not just for the people around, but self-harm as well. Yeah,
and they're missing out on their own opportunities as well. Like, it doesn't make any sense just because you don't want to say thank you to someone. That person isn't going to hold you to it forever. Like, oh, you're the one every day. It's just like, just be open, be willing, and I think networking is so important. It is who you know, it's who knows you, it's the doors that can open for you. It's a person sponsoring you saying, oh, OC, yeah, he's that analyst, but he's great, yeah, come, let's bring him in. But you're not going to get that if you're not open, and if you're not receiving of things or giving as well. So networking is by far fundamental. You can have the same grades as somebody else and the same but you don't have that access to an individual at that workplace, you won't get that job, So yeah, I just thought I'd add that. But in terms of myself, of everything on this journey of entrepreneurship, I always pay homage and always love New Entrepreneurs Foundation. They're called Centers for Entrepreneurs now. But essentially they're like this 1-year program where you kind of work part-time and you do their kind of every bi-weekly, they have not webinars, they had in-person kind of seminars and to help you with different things to do with entrepreneurship. And at the end of it, they had a pitch day, which I was fortunate enough to win. The key thing about that was that it opened so many doors to investors and VCs. It allowed me to understand a bit more about entrepreneurship world, and that so you don't have to just bootstrap. And they connected you to different entrepreneurs that are already these big companies that we know. Just meet up with coffee with these people, and you're like, oh, just everyday people. So that program really helped me to expand my own mindset and to really understand open access to new networks. I was pitching to millionaires and billionaires when I didn't even know much about that world. That was saying you're not ambitious enough. Do you know how powerful it is to have people tell you you're not ambitious enough when normally everyone always tells you you're so ambitious? It's game changing. And so I'm always grateful for them, because even now they're always plugging me with different opportunities. And I'm good friends with the CEO Nita. A lot of my investors came through NEF. I'm just always an advocate, and that is in itself, it's an entrepreneurship network, right? So and I decided I wanted to get into, I want to be part of an entrepreneurship network, because actually I know I need advice, I need help, I need to find out what other people are doing. So the same reason why I'd say people should join BYP Network. What are your peers doing? How do you get into this profession? How do you find out how to get a pay rise? How do you learn from those that have gone before you? That's what networks do. That's what BYP Network can help you with. And then it gets more specific as well. We have groups where it's entrepreneurship group, tech group, all that stuff. And obviously there's loads of smaller groups in Facebook and stuff. But networks are important, and you should expand your network, and it should be real and authentic. And you should always be thinking, how can you give, not just get? And I think it's, that's my journey so far. And I'm always happy to shout out. No one makes it on their own. I'm not saying I've made it, but nobody ever makes it on their own. You need support, you need help, and you need to find those people that have gone before you.
That's amazing. What's the name of that organization again that you said that you got in touch with?
So now they're called Center for Entrepreneurs, or they're called NEF Fast Track, so New Entrepreneurs Foundation.
Right, NEF Fast Track. So there you go, people out there. BYP Network, NEF Fast Track. The thing about this is, you were speaking earlier about people who don't want to network. One thing I've kind of observed is, it seems to me that certain people, because their lifestyle has been at a certain social level, they are more focused on themselves, getting themselves ahead, than actually helping others. So it's like that rat race, isn't it? You know, when rats run, they climb on top of the other, they push one back, you know, or like crabs climbing out of a barrel, they kind of pull one down when they're trying to get up themselves. And I think that very much manifests in many different ways when it comes to the Black community. There are people who could very well support and help someone, but they choose not to. And they will use the excuse that they're focusing on their own thing. They're only doing, you know, they're really trying to build their own thing, but not realizing that their progress is hindered by the fact that they actually don't look up, look around, and see who else is out there and sharing help. It's that synergy, isn't it? It's everybody's energy joined together to bring a more powerful combined energy, as opposed to.
I think I always, you know, I love Jay-Z's song. What's it? Is it, I can't remember the title. Is it 444? And the one where he's like, you know, still. I'm not gonna say the word.
Sorry,
but
I'm out of touch when it comes to. I can't help you.
That's one song. I can't, like when he's like still N-word. I don't want to say the N-word, but basically still Black. Like no matter who you are, you're still Black. No matter how successful you are still Black. What does that mean? If the Black community are seen as the bottom race or whatever people want to say, you are still Black. So you get those comments like, oh, you're different. You're not like the rest of them. Oh, what's wrong with the Black community? And you're right there. Oh, another one just got stabbed, and they're looking at you like it's your brother, even though you're this multi-millionaire billionaire. Like you're still Black. And I think that people need to remember that. They forget that a lot. They get lost in the kind of, you know, I'm doing well. Yeah, well, no one ever helped me. They do it themselves. And then, you know, it's at their own detriment, because ultimately it's a collaborative effort. It's a human race. Like we are a race. You need to give back to your race, even if you don't want to. And I think, you know, we've seen that. You know, we love the LeBron James of the world who give a lot. And then, you know, you compare it to, you know, Michael Jordan in the documentary, and it's like, what happened? You know, and it is a, you know, it is a kind of like, oh, why not? You know, we get it. We get that, you know, you don't like, oh, others don't have to do that. It's my money. I did it. But it's like, no, there is a tax on that, I'm afraid, because as a race, you know, not enough of us are in those positions of power. Not enough of us are role models, or, you know, have these opportunities or have that wealth status. So when you get there, you have to pull other people up. You can't pull up the ladder. You can't do stuff like that. You have to give back. Because it doesn't feel like, what's it all for? How much money can you have? You will die one day. I know you give it to your kids. What if your kids are spoiled brats and anything like you? I don't even know. Like, there's so much to it. I get so deep. But my point is, like, people should really think about giving back. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not where I want to be yet. When I make it to this level, then I'll give back.
That old chestnut.
Yeah, but that doesn't, you know, there's people that are literally directly behind you that are looking at you and want to be where you are. So, you know, help them. Like, yeah,
most definitely. It is lonely at the top if you haven't climbed with anybody else. You know, you could get to the top, you can enjoy the view. After a while, you're thinking, okay, who can I kick football with? There's nobody around, unless you're helping people to get there yourself. I think that is a brilliant tip. I'll just show you this comment from online. Paul Morrison says, praying for this woman. She is changing the world. I'm going to give you a dragon punch for that.
Keep going.
This is it. Okay, I have one last question, and then we'll wrap up the session. I really appreciate everything that you've shared tonight. But for the solopreneurs out there, all those people who are working independently, what would you say is a key tip when it comes to networking? Because some people are really on the grind. You know, they're focused. They want to work with others, but maybe, you know, they're afraid or they're not sure who to reach out to. They, you know, I'm often asked, how do I get to interview the people that I get to interview? You know, and I never give a direct answer, but the bottom line is I reach out to people. You know, and I think that is, I say it very simply, but it's something you kind of need to really consider. But you are, you know, the CEO of a networking company. So I want to hear from you in terms of what are your tips for those people who are wanting to build a network and maybe just don't know where to start in terms of how they go about doing that?
Good question. There's different things to tackle here. So let's say you're trying to reach out to someone like myself, for example. the best thing you can actually do is first do your research. And the reason I say that is that, you know, you might get people reaching out saying, hey, I want to find out why you started BYP Network. And it's like, well, if you go online.
It's in my bio. Check my bio.
No, but seriously, because think about how many people are reaching out and stuff like that. So you need to be very intentional with what your ask is, or what it is that why you're reaching out, and why you think that's like, you know, why should they listen to you, if that makes sense. Sounds weird. And how, the means of how you reach out, right? Like my LinkedIn now is gone. Like reaching out on my LinkedIn is just not going to work. But, you know, I have a networking app. Why don't you download that app and maybe message me in that app? That's my own platform. Maybe I will be receptive to that, you know? So like how you reach out to the person matters, and what you say to the person matters. Because everyone's busy, right? Like, so, but if you say what it is that you want, you could get that direct answer. You might even get an introduction to someone, or you might get some time from that person. You never know. But you need to be quite intentional and very kind of wise with what you're saying. And then I think the other method is like, you know, stuff like this, right? We're on a live, right? So you might have seen that the person's promoting the live, or, you know, seen it, oh, they're going to be here, then you can jump on and maybe you ask a question, or, you know, you get seen somehow. That's a great way to do it. And if you want to just network with other people in your industry, again, connecting to these networks such as BYP, or, you know, entrepreneurship networks and stuff like that, and then going to the networking events, whether it's offline or online or wherever it is, and then just building real relationships. Like, don't go in trying to be like, what can I get? Hey, what do? You don't do anything. Moving on. Like, don't go in there disingenuous, or, you know, annoying people or anything like that. Like, go in there ready to give, as I always say. Like, oh, Osi, I know you do this show. One of my friends, I want to connect you to. What can you give? And then before you know, Osi's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, cool, I know somebody too. You know, really be genuine with it, and I think that's really important. And obviously, sometimes you come across holes, you know, sorry to say that, but you do. But sometimes maybe they had a bad day. Maybe, you know, you just didn't message them right, or maybe you just need to get back to them another time, or just let it go. But it's okay. Like, at the end of the day, at least you tried, and I think that's super important. And also, you just got to remember that everybody's going through their own stuff, or the timing might not be right. So just don't hold it against people.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kike. There's one sneaky question that's coming from the audience. I'll take this as the last one, and then we'll close it out the show, guys. So no more questions in, please. Thank you. But Paul Morrison is asking, I think this is a good question, actually, maybe to end on. And he's asking about the balance here. So how do you get the time to keep helping everyone who is asking for help? Is it everybody that you should help, and then how do you select?
It's a really good question. So, for example, I just mentioned that my LinkedIn is by the wayside now, because it's just too, like, I've got a lot of connections and the inbound is crazy. I just don't have the capacity. So, for example, I guess there's all those people I've missed that I don't know who I've missed, but I don't feel bad about it, because I'm like, I can't physically go to that LinkedIn inbox and I can't help everyone. So again, it's like, who's gone out of their way to really strategically try and access me, right? Who, you know, what is the help that person needs? Again, is it a question that can be found online, or is it actually like a genuine one? I think someone asked about that I caught was like, oh, they're trying to get into this field of work. They haven't been able to kind of get anywhere now. How can BYP help, or how can I help? And the first thing I saw on their LinkedIn is like, they have actor/DJ on it, but they want to be a chemical engineer. And it's like, well, just as a start, you haven't even done the basics. So it's kind of stuff like that. Like, you know, what level is the person at when they come and approach you, and how can you really help? And just being mindful that, yeah, you can't help everyone, and that's okay. And your time is limited. Yeah, it's fine. It's not everyone you can help, right? But my business, for example, is helping a lot of people. So how can BYP Network, how can you utilize BYP Network to help you? There's so many other professionals you can reach out to. Does it have to be me? Does it have to be OC? It doesn't. There's so many. So I think that also allows me to just, yeah, it's not everyone.
Fantastic. Kike, my goodness me. Let me put another round of applause in. This show's been excellent. I've appreciated everything that you've shared. I appreciate you spending your time. I know that you're super busy, but I'm glad that we got to have this interview. I really appreciate it. We've got appreciation here from Maribel from online. We've got appreciation here from from Uggs Beauty. We've got Maribel again. Wow, amazing. We got Paul Morrison with the hand claps. So thank you so much, Kike. If you hang on, I'll be back with you in a moment. But folks, we're going to say goodbye to Kike, and you can follow her at the social media. But most importantly, join the BYP network, guys. Everybody needs to get on there. And please, please, please support this fundraising round that they're having and be one of the funders. But Kike, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Okay, guys. Oh my goodness me. Did I or did I not tell you that this show was going to be a serious show? So many nuggets there, guys. Don't sit still. Don't just take it as head knowledge. I want you to apply this knowledge. I want you to go straight to your profile, fix your profile, have a think about the people that you can help, have a think about people maybe that you need to collaborate with. But guys, there's so much to put into practice today. Most importantly, hit this link at the bottom and join the BYP network. Find out about the seed funding, contribute as much as you can. It has been a phenomenal show. My goodness me. Okay, so what's next? What is next? Okay, guys, this Friday, I have a special show in partnership with UK Black Tech. And we're going to be talking to Julian Hall, Ola Otaiku, Rashada Harry, and Claudine Adeyemi, who are all social enterprise leaders. And we're going to be talking about social enterprises. What are they? What is the future of social enterprises? And we're going to be supporting them in their ventures as well. So guys, that is coming up this Friday. So make sure that you tune in for that on our platforms. Guys, I want you to have a wonderful week. Enjoy yourselves. Take care. And we will be back very soon for another Tuesday Night Live. Take care and God bless.